What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Macho Movie Madness. I'm Brandon.
I'm Andrew.
And today we are going to do our best to rank John Carpenter movies. Okay, so the reason why I say do our best is because John Carpenter is one of our favorite directors. I think It's safe to say composers, directors, probably people in general, just because he's a cool old hippie.
He doesn't care about anything.
He doesn't care about literally anything, I don't think, except for basketball and video games and weed. So, you know, and that's not why I admire him, but I admire him for being himself.
And it's partly why I admire him. The basketball.
Yeah. I admire him, just the ability to say, F you, I just like money. At least he's open and honest about it, right? But absolutely love John Carpenter. I know we're not alone on the channel. I know we're not alone in the world. But the reason why it's so tough for me is because you get, some of his movies later on down the road are not the greatest, and we're not going to talk about the majority of those today.
No Memoirs of the Invisible Man today.
Yeah, no, sorry about that. No Ghost of Mars.
That's number 3 on my list. What are you talking about?
Well, we might talk about it then. I'm sorry. I assumed. Should never assume. But we're going to try and rank our top 10, and the higher ups, the first 4 or 5 might be a little bit shaky, or it might be, big movies to some, but I know it's going to get a little bit harder for us come mid to lower in, the top tier of Carpenter, because there was about a decade there where he was top of the line. He had hit some of the most top tier movies and most influential movies. I mean, that just still stand the test of time for me. And some of the best work you'll see in a movie as far as soundtrack or score goes. So, starting off at number 10, we're going to get right into it. Andrew, do you want to take number 10?
Yeah. Actually, I'll go an honorable mention.
Okay.
I haven't seen it in forever. So I can't really comment too much on it, but I remember just loving In the Mouth of Madness, and I need to see it again.
Yeah.
I remember Sam Neill was really good in that. The story's kind of all over the place, but I do want to mention that one. It's really good. But go ahead.
Well, all I was going to say is, I guess, just kind of a fair warning to people. For me personally, you will not see In the Mouth of Madness or Prince of Darkness on this list for me personally, because I have unfortunately not seen them. I have not been able to find a copy of them, and I haven't been able to find them on a streaming service where I wasn't cheap enough to rent it. You know what I mean? I'm kind of cheap. So I just haven't got around to it. There's been a lot of other stuff going on, a lot of things to see. I will eventually get around to it. I really want to see those. I hear good things. So unfortunately I can't rank them, and so I can't speak on them at all because of that. So this list might change one of these days, but right now I can't talk about that. Anyway, so number 10 for Andrew.
Number 10, I've got a tie because I just wanted to throw them both on here.
Okay.
Christine, for one, to me it's a possession movie.
Yeah.
It might be a car, but it's a possession movie.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to also throw in Assault on Precinct 13, which I thought was kind of low for it, but man, I got so many others on this list that I just like just a little bit more.
Yeah, and I get that too. I also put Assault on Precinct 13 on the number 10 spot. It's been a long time since I've seen it. I remember liking it quite a bit, but like you said, we're going to get into more stuff that we're going to talk about more in depth, and I really don't want to talk about a lot of it in detail right now, but it does seem kind of weird, because this was right before Halloween.
Right.
So, and you have some of, like Carpenter tends to do, and a lot of directors tend to do, is, they move the cast over into the next films, and they play in a lot of their films, reuses a lot of actors. But I don't, it is kind of weird to put this so high up.
Yeah.
But given what I have to work with, or even some of this stuff that may not be as good that I liked more because I had more fun with it, you might see on my list and you might be like, what? Anyway, yeah. That's why I had to put it number 10.
Yeah. All right. So number 9 on my list is Starman from 1984, starring Jeff Bridges.
Wow. Okay.
And It's a really good movie. It's John Carpenter paying his penance for being so nasty in The Thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
tone it down for everybody.
That's actually a quote straight from him.
Really?
Like,
okay.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
You know, he had to make that movie almost to get back in Hollywood's good graces. And but it's a good movie. You know, it's kind of this little heartfelt deal with him and Karen Allen, you know, from Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth a watch. It's a good little movie.
It's so funny you say that too, or he says that, you know, seeing how what people think of The Thing today, but you know, back then it wasn't received well at all.
No.
So my number 9 was John Carpenter's Vampires. Now there's some people who might not agree with that, but I'm going to tell you 2 words: James Woods.
Right.
I mean, you think Tom Atkins is a ladies' man. Tom Atkins is just as much of a ladies' man as James Wood is a badass. James Woods is a badass. Like, that dude is like, this guy can sell I don't give a damn about anything or anybody just as much as John Carpenter almost. Yeah. It's like John Carpenter, but a more badass John Carpenter in this. Yeah. Acting in this, but I love good old vampire flicks, and even for like the late 90s, I thought this was pretty well done.
It's got a Western feel to it. I like that, and you know, John Carpenter and his spaghetti Western influences. Daniel Baldwin, oddly enough, he's pretty decent in this movie. Yeah.
He's probably one of the better Baldwin brothers as far as acting. Don't tell Alec. He might shoot me or something. Anyway, yeah, really enjoyed Vampires.
All right, so for number 8, this should have been probably lower on my list, but I just enjoy this movie so much, and that's Escape from LA. I had to put it on the list.
Yeah.
You know, it's a continuation of Snake Plissken, and I've probably seen this movie 20 times. It's so much fun.
Oddly enough, I also put Escape from LA at number 8.
Yeah,
that's right. I have to say, I feel this exact same way. It's fun. How could you not put this on a list? It's his big F you to Hollywood. You know, you want to give me all this money to make this, and I don't need this much, but you know, he spent all this time trying to get back in the good grace of Hollywood, and look where he ends up anyway. He's like, nah, I don't even want to be a part of this anymore.
Right.
So I have, and then, you know, Kurt Russell's good and everything. He can make anything good. I mean, because it's Kurt Russell.
All right, so that takes us down to number 7, and my number 7 is The Fog.
Okay.
Great, eerie, atmospheric movie.
Yeah.
Adrienne Barbeau is so good in it. You know, it's got its faults. That's why it's got its faults. That's why it's so low down here. But but yeah, I recently showed this one to my wife. She hadn't seen it before, and she enjoyed it. One of John Carpenter's most underrated scores as well.
Yeah. I'll agree with that. My number 7 was Christine. You know, what's not to love about Christine? Good old Stephen King, right? And oddly enough, you get a John Carpenter directing a Stephen King story, and in his own way. The score's great. I love the score. It is a possession movie, but you know, I also love Maximum Overdrive. So vehicle possession, you know, it's going to win me over anytime, just about every time.
Yeah, this is Macho Movie Madness, after all.
That is true.
All right, so my number 6 will be Prince of Darkness, and it's one I've got it, so I'll let you borrow it so you can see it.
Okay, yeah, okay, thank you. Good.
It's really good. It's got such a great ensemble cast in it, all the way from Donald Pleasance down to the guy from Simon and Simon who kind of plays like the heroic lead.
Yeah.
Just a real good psychological thriller.
My number 6 was Big Trouble Little China. Now, this might be where some people disagree. I know a lot of people have that lower on the list. And
not this guy.
Well, I tell you what, this is a fun movie. It's weird, it's crazy, it's funny, it's exciting, it's wild, man. It's wild. I absolutely love the movie, but there's just too many other movies that I think are a little more Carpenter-esque that fit better with what I like to watch over and over again. And there's just, unfortunately, just things that are just higher. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, it's a great, you know, this is where it starts to get harder for me, you know, and some of these might change on a day-to-day basis, but that's where it falls today.
Yeah. All right. So my number 5 is They Live. I really, like you said, I wanted to rank it higher.
Yeah.
Roddy Piper, for a guy, he'd done one movie before this, you know, for a guy who done very little acting, is so good in this movie.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed this one. And this was Carpenter right before he started falling off a little bit.
Yeah.
Like one last great movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Number 5 for me is The Fog. I'm like you, it's 2 spots higher than yours. I just watched this again a few nights ago, and I actually watched it with my girlfriend, and you know, she thought it was a pretty decent movie. It definitely felt like a Carpenter. She said it felt like a Carpenter movie to me, like it feels very similar to all the other ones. But I mean, she didn't mean that in a bad way. Like you said, underrated score. You know, I mean, what a town of cursed people and pirates that comes through on a ghost ship in a fog. I mean, what simple and fun and kind of creative. I mean, I don't know too many other movies like that. Yeah. Not at least not with cursed pirates, right? Trying to exact the revenge on a town.
Yeah.
But yeah, Adrian Barbeau, awesome. And Tom Atkins, the lady killer himself.
Right.
You know, you got Jamie Lee Curtis, you got Janet Leigh, you got Nancy Loomis. I mean, all the John Carpenter favorites are there. They all do a great job. Most of them are likable. Some of them are just, I don't know what you're doing, but I like you. Like Tom Atkins, like he's there, but he's Tom Atkins. How do you not love him?
The panty dropper.
John Carpenter himself even makes a nice cameo in the beginning of this, right? He's a character in it. So yeah, it's not to love. I love The Fog, man. I wanted to put it a little bit higher, but it's one of those things.
Number 4, I really wanted to put this higher. I'm kind of kicking myself, but I just can't do it. Number 4 for me is Big Trouble in Little China. It's so much fun. So Jack Burton is one of my favorite.
Oh
yeah. Yeah, just a great fun little
Kurt Russell. You know what I mean? Kurt Russell. Yeah. Again.
Yeah. Him and John Carpenter. They work. They need to do another movie together.
Oh my God, yeah, they for sure do.
Band stage,
for sure do. I don't care. I don't care how old either one of them are. Do it right now. Number 4 for me is They Live. I almost put this much higher. Right. This was number 2. And I'm like, no, I can't do it. There's a couple others here we got to talk about that I also recently watched. I'm like, I can't rewatched. Like you said, Roddy Piper, you know, while the movie isn't as fleshed out in a few spots as it should have been to kind of just explain a couple more things, I think another 10 or 15 minutes in this film would have done the movie justice, and it probably would have made it just that much better. I know there's not a lot of explaining that really needs to happen to us. We know we know the in-depth details of what the story is. It's just you also kind of like to see that explained in the movie a little bit. I may not need it, but it feels like it brought the picture together around. I thought Keith David went out like a little bitch, and it wasn't because he's a bitch. He's awesome, but it's like it didn't give it time to process. I didn't give time to process because everything happened so quick in that last act, man. Everything just dominoed down, and it was gone, and it was over. And you know, I don't know. It's still great. I love, and it's a little bit ambiguous at the end too. You don't know exactly how far the reach was, and how you just know that he was able to expose them, at least in his region, right? Everything from the beginning up to the middle. Solid work. And even though it's kind of old westerny type too, right? You got a drifter, and the score is repetitive but perfect.
Yeah, you'll find that with a lot of his movies. They're
very repetitive.
Assault on Precinct 13 is a you know, it's his take on Rio Bravo. Almost note for note. Yeah,
absolutely. Or number 3 for you.
Don't kill me. But it's Halloween. Waiting for the look. There's just two movies on this list that I like just a little bit more.
Yeah.
I know how great Halloween is and how influential it is and stuff.
You damn right you do.
For me, there's just a couple just a little higher on the list for me.
Yeah, I understand. Number 3 for me is Escape from New York. Man, what else? Snake Plissken, Kurt Russell again. That's the movie I would love to see a finality to. I think Kurt Russell would be, and John Carpenter said in a recent interview I did hear, I think he was on another podcast, and actually discussed, if he's ready, if Kurt Russell's ever ready, like if he said, and he said that he doesn't know which one he would do, but he is leaning towards a Snake Plissken movie. So don't know if it's going to happen, but I hope it does. I love almost everything about this film. It's different. It's fun. The atmosphere is great. Music's great. Kurt Russell's great, man. It's so good. If you haven't seen this movie, you have to see it. Mm-hmm. You have to.
So my number 2 will be The Thing. We just did a versus that you'll see, Alien versus The Thing.
Yeah.
And it was, that was so hard to
it was neck and
come
neck.
up with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was talking in that video about how some people, actually like The Thing better than Halloween, and I'm one of those people. It's one I'll watch a little more often, and I just love all the characters, love everything about this movie. It's nearly perfect.
Yeah, I agree. It was also my number 2. What's not to love? The effects, the practical effects are great. The premise, the story behind this creature, this thing, this alien, it being able to assimilate with other beings and copy them pretty much 1-to-1 and can copy if with the process in the amount of time, and you never know it creates a lot of distrust in the characters, where they become almost as much of an issue or a problem to, and it's dangerous to the next guy as the thing is. And truly remarkable film and great score once again, and diabetes.
Right.
Blair the crazy guy. I love it.
Yeah, one of his greatest characters. So that leaves number 1, and that's Escape from New York. Yeah, Snake Plissken. That movie's it for me.
Yeah,
that's the one. That's the movie where I said, I don't know this John Carpenter guy, but I like what he does.
Yeah.
That was.
Yeah, that was this your first John Carpenter movie?
No, I'd seen a few things. I think I might have even seen Halloween, and just it's a slow burn.
Yeah.
And until I sat back and watched it, like from a critical standpoint, that's amazing.
That's what this is.
Yeah, but no, I'd seen a few others on the list, but Escape from New York's the one that really, really won me over.
Yeah,
it's got all the elements. It's got some sci-fi elements,
I can see it, man. Like, they're sitting here thinking, like, man, do I put this over The Thing? Do I put The Thing over that? Do I put They Live? Because They Live is something I've watched more because it's fun. Just like The Fog. Like, it's kind of a tough thing. Like I said, it may change, but it's these top tier. You've got your top tier, man. Of Carpenter, and you've got that second tier, which is not that far removed from the top tier, and then you got like a third tier, and then you got the bottom of the barrel. He kind of goes down hard after, like you said, he started to dwindle after Prince of Darkness. He had a couple of decent ones in the 90s, but yeah, this is hard to do. But I mean, number 1 for me, it's no surprise. You mentioned earlier with your jokes of me killing you. And I might still, I don't know. But no, Halloween. Halloween's number 1, man. $300,000 budget, made $100 million or whatever it was at the box office. There's not a lot to say about it than what we've already said, or a million other people haven't already said. Look behind me. You know what I mean? I got a shrine just about. I do have a They Live, but anyway, incredible movie. It's got its faults. It's a low budget movie. The acting's pretty decent, but whatever. The lasting effect of Michael Myers and the score, there's nothing else like it. And even though it can be repetitive in the score, just like many of his other movies, there's still a little bit more uniqueness to the Halloween score than these other ones. And I think anybody can agree that it's one of the best films probably of all time. Just even in some of its imperfectness, if that's even a word. It's truly amazing, and I don't think there's anything on this list that I fanboy or obsess over more than the Halloween franchise in this movie. So anyways, guys, that's our list of top 10 John Carpenter movies. It's not an easy thing to do. It really isn't, especially these first, that top 4, 5, 6. It's really hard. It just depends on day or taste or whatever. But let us know. Yeah. Let us know in the comments below what your guys' favorites are, and let us know if you agree with our list or not. Get really mean. I don't care. Whatever you want to do. But until then, we'll see you next time.